Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Anime Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Matt, alongside with my other host, Lance. As always, we have an adult beverage of choice. Lance, what are you drinking today?
Today, I will be drinking some Jeptha Creed, some good old-fashioned Kentucky whiskey, and I will also be drinking some Hinterland's Door County Cherry Wheat beer. And then as a backup, I also have a Packerland Pilsner, also by Hinterland. What about you? What are you drinking?
I am drinking some more of the Willit Bourbon. Delicious. I feel like it's been a minute since I've had some. And then for anybody that remembers our last episode, I'm having the KC Beer Co. Dunkel from that pack. That's what the two that Lance is drinking. They also came in that pack that I got. I should be getting another one pretty shortly, actually.
Okay, very nice.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what more I got. Lance, you want to give us that synopsis for us?
Today we will be covering the wicked sick anime Undead, Unluck, a story that begins with a journey to find a way to finally kill Andy, but soon turns into a story about killing God and saving the world from Ragnarok. Our main characters are Andy with the negator power of Undead and Fuko with the negator power of Unluck. Joined with Juiz and her crew of other negators in the Union, will work together to accomplish a seemingly impossible goal.
Very nice. I like it.
Thank you.
We are going to be doing something a little bit different because Lance actually covered this for his short flights, and this was the first manga you read, right?
Yeah, I think this was my very first manga.
So in celebration of that, we decided to kind of let Lance continue and actually read everything, because I don't know if you finished the whole series, right?
Oh, the whole entire series? God, no.
Not the whole series, but just season 1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for the short flight series, I watched all 24 episodes, of course, and then read all 24 episodes worth of manga.
Okay.
So, yeah, I covered season 1 material.
Nice.
So today, I'm prepared for a reread, and we're here.
Nice. Very nice. Well, I did not read the manga, so I'm very interested in hearing the differences between the manga and the anime. NANI?!
There will be a couple differences, mostly a couple added information.
Nice.
For anybody that wants to continue the series, the first season will cover the first 53 chapters. If you want to continue, reread chapter 53, because the beginning and the end of chapter 53 is in the final episode of season 1, and the whole middle chunk is new information. So Just go ahead and reread 53.
Okay.
All right, but to go back to the very beginning and go through my list, the first 2 minutes of the anime, where the manga characters were walking through the snow, dying and holding each other in the snow, and then a big plane crashes, none of that stuff was ever shown in the manga, of course.
What?
But we do open up with Fuko reading the final chapter and saying, well, now that this manga is done, now I can be done with myself. So that happens. But another difference is right away when she's doing that, she has an entire crowd of people behind her. So basically there would be a bunch of witnesses. And when Andy shows up and then walks into her knife, the crowd is still there, so they're witnessing all of this. So there's an interesting difference.
Goes from us watching a suicide to watching a murder.
Yeah, right? In episode 2, when Andy and Fuko are fighting Shen and Unavoidable, Fuko's Unluck brings a big semi and runs into them. But what the manga shows a little bit extra is that there was a dude driving it, and just before he kind of crashes into them, it shows a quick panel of the dude jumping out. And then after the whole explosion and after the fight, there's another panel that shows up where the dude's just getting up and he's okay. So they just gave him a quick little shout out that, a civilian wasn't hurt.
Oh, good. Just what I was concerned about.
When Spoil shot the Statue of Liberty, the manga made a side note that said that he actually shot a replica in Las Vegas that was 30 kilometers away.
Okay.
So he didn't shoot across the entire country and shoot the one in New York. It was a little bit closer.
So I actually thought it was the one in Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Just because it looked kind of small.
Yeah.
But I might be the only one that thought that.
Yeah, you might be in the minority there. Because I definitely immediately thought the one in New York. But no, it was the one in Vegas. So it wasn't that extreme of a shot.
Okay.
Have you ever wondered or noticed that Shen, when he uses his power, sometimes he only has one eye open?
Yes.
Did you come up with any kind of ideas about that?
Basically, it made it so that to me, I thought anytime he blinked, his power would stop. So to prevent that from happening, he would keep one eye closed and then swap back and forth.
Yep, that's exactly it.
All right.
So the anime never mentioned that. No. You might have had to do your own little critical thinking.
Yep.
But yeah, the manga spelled that out in a side note. So yeah, he closes one eye so that when he switches eyes, someone can be under the influence at all times.
Okay, that makes sense. The anime showed his face a lot doing that, so that's kind of why I thought that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Before the boat scene in Rio de Janeiro, when they were going clothes shopping, they made a side note that Andy's suit was like X amount of dollars, but because he had Clothy was able to just replica it. So he ended up not having to buy the physical clothes, but they also made a note that he felt bad, so he still paid him anyway.
Oh, very, very generous of him.
Right. And then in addition to that, they also did a quick swimsuit try-on, and then Fuko ended up trying on an entire full suit, bodysuit, like she's going diving.
Okay.
So from like head to toe, I mean, not her head was exposed, but her entire body looked like she was in a swimmer suit. And they actually did go underwater, deep sea, swimming around. So they showed just a quick panel of that where they had an extra moment of fun.
Interesting. Okay. Sure. That's opposite fan service.
Yeah. While on the boat, you got to see like little monsters around.
Like walking around on the upper floor or in the basement, in the bottom?
More specifically, you saw like little creatures being held by the humans.
Okay. Oh, okay.
The manga explains that cryptids and anything that's made from an Uma, those things are called juniors.
Okay.
Now, they made a quick comment on that in the later on in the series where they made like, oh, those are so-and-so's juniors. That was the one and only reference that they made to juniors. But this early on in the series, the manga let us know that anything coming from an Uma is considered a junior. So the zombies, the spiders, those are all considered juniors.
Okay.
After Billy's betrayal, the manga doesn't show Unbreakable creating the new round table for everybody after the round table got stolen.
Okay.
So it was just a really nice added part that the anime did where they showed Unbreakable just carving out a new table. So I like that difference.
Yeah, I like that better. So what were they standing around? Nothing?
It just appeared.
Oh.
It just one moment there's nothing and the next moment they're sitting around a table.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
The manga doesn't show the mass quantities of energy drinks that they drank when they were creating that manga. There was one single slide where they were drinking those little tiny energy drinks.
Like the old 5-hour energies?
Yeah, basically. But no, the anime threw in like those Dead Bulls and like they really emphasized how many energy drinks that they were sucking down. No, in the manga, it was one single slide.
Okay.
So that was nice. When Fuko is talking to Ano-un on the phone, this is my favorite one. This is the biggest difference. Okay, so when Fuko and Andy go to the manga place and that person who reads the manga calls Ano-un on the phone and tells her that the manga has been messed with and seeing if they could be part of some kind of contest, Fuko straight up snatches the phone from her and pulls a gun on her. And then just like forces her to stay down while she talks to Ano-un. Is the craziest difference in the world. Andy is nowhere to be seen. Like he's still sitting outside and Fuko's doing this all on her own.
That honestly makes a lot more sense. But yeah, okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, she goes total gangster on this moment. It is so crazy.
Straight up heists. All right.
After Andy and Victor fight in the book and Victor breaks out of the capture ball, and you get that really funny punch in the cock scene, Victor is able to regenerate his clothes. In the anime, he kind of just appears with clothes.
Yep.
But the manga explains that, or the manga says that Victor says that this is all in your imagination, so you can just imagine it into existence. So that's why a lot of bullshit can happen in this book.
I mean, it's essentially dream, so sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. That makes sense.
Victor also says... Well, this happens in the anime, but Victor says that Fuko is just like Ju is, but he explains just a little bit extra.
Okay.
So I'm just going to read this quote, and it's going to end the way the anime did, but he says, "You're just like Ju is. You have no class, no sex appeal, and she's stumpy with a raccoon dog face. Big round eyes, but you're heedless of danger when it comes to helping those around you." And that last part was in the anime, but... saying that she had no class and no sex appeal was kind of funny. Totally left out that burn.
Yep, especially because, they're obsessed with them, but it's okay.
After Andy learns that quick draw technique and turns down that other woman for making a baby, Ano-un says that all negators have struggles. That happens in the anime.
Yep.
But the next quick slide is what's different, is that they actually show a quick clip of 4 other characters suffering, essentially.
Okay.
Shows Shen losing someone who fell off a cliff, Top crying to a person in a wheelchair, Nico just crying in bed, suffering in pain, and Billy drinking in the rain next to a tombstone. So just to show that everybody's lost something and they're all suffering.
Okay.
So I'd like to imagine that we're going to get backstories on those bits of information in the future. So this is going to be the last part. I wrote this down as a difference because at first it was, but then I realized that it's really just the next bit of information. So season 2 is going to start out with Andy checking in with Juiz, saying that they defeated the Uma Autumn. Juiz tells them to go after Uma Summer next.
So we know how next season's going to start.
As far as they do. And then, actually, just a moment before that, they were explaining Ano-un to a quick degree. And then Juiz says that, oh, hey, this sounds familiar, because Juiz says that a few decades ago that they captured Uma information, and that they learned that he put information of the past and future into an already existing artifact, and then that we know was the G-Liner. So we knew of this information, we just didn't know what artifact that went into. And then it explained that God intervened when Akira picked it up and then gave him the unknown, so that, just to fuck with him. He knows everything but can't tell anybody kind of deal.
Yep.
And then, Uma Summer is going to be in Taiwan.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, that's how season 2 is going to start. I did read one more chapter ahead. It's really just Juiz and Billy meeting, like the series or the season ended. And if anybody's interested in why Juiz was like, oh, do you have any black tea? It's because in the character descriptions in the manga, Juiz is a collector of tea leaves. So she's really into tea.
Okay, good to know.
So yeah, a lot of small information bits, but I thought it was all pretty interesting because it's good enough for me to read season 1 material twice, so I definitely loved it.
Nice. We're obviously going to continue talking about this show, but before we do that, since Lantz was nice enough to read the manga, I guess I'm going to dip my toe into some Japanese language words.
Yeah, so you get Lance's lessons today.
And today, because I really liked Juiz, I decided to go with justice for the Japanese word of the day. And the Japanese word for justice is seigi. S-E-I-G-I.
Great. Yeah, that's definitely a word that we can't just throw out there for any other anime just so willy-nilly.
Yeah, definitely. I really liked her as a character, so made it for an easy choice.
Okay. You just want to jump into favorite characters right away? You can choose her?
Yeah, let's do that. Obviously, since my choice was Juiz, she had the ability that I liked the most that didn't seem like super just OP, like Undead.
Yeah, Undead was definitely OP.
I thought it was really cool. I am very interested in figuring out how she can use her ability more often. When we had the aliens try to come and invade Earth, she was just like, nah, you don't want to do that. And they're like, you're right, I don't. Kill each other. So I got a big laugh out of that. And that was really the only time we got to see her ability beyond when Billy was using it against them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got like a quick little glance at it in like episode 2 when Fuko and Andy first joined the Union.
Yep.
But it wasn't like full out. It was just like a taunt to a degree.
Yep. What about you? Who was your favorite character?
I'm a little bit torn because Andy's a fantastic character.
Yep.
But I also love Shen. Shen was a lot of fun as well. And just to give someone else a shout out other than the main character, I think I will choose Shen today because, like I just said, he's so much fun. Yeah,
he was really cool. I liked how he had essentially the spirit or the power pole and the Nimbus.
Yeah, he was essentially the Monkey King in the show.
Yep.
He was a lot of fun. I like his Well, what we learned through his justice was he has Goku vibes. He just wants to fight the strongest, be the strongest. He's always in a good mood. He always wants to be part of a mission. It's funny seeing him in like flashbacks where he's getting upset that he can't join a mission and he just like gets bored. And then one of my other favorite scenes is when they're making the manga later on. Andy tells him to go to the gym because he's too strong or too powerful to be around everybody. Everybody is doing their part for that manga, and then they just show like a couple clips of him just pumping some dumbbells and just working out, which would be awesome. I would love to have that situation too. But yeah, and then other than that, he's got cool items.
Yes.
Like you said, the power pole and the flying nimbus and that rolled up sleeve thing he had earlier with when he was fighting Spoil. And then Spoil shot his arm, and we're like, oh shit, did he just lose his arm? But something about that sleeve was powerful enough to take the blow, and then he's like, oh, that was custom ordered. So he's got a lot of interesting things behind him. He knows how to fight. His ability of untruth is a lot of fun. It's a lot of opposites, and he's learned how to use it to his best. I love when they explained when Andy was fighting him, he was like, oh, well, you tease an opening in your defenses so that I would aim there, and then you use your powers to deflect it in the opposite way. So like, he's very talented.
Yep. Yeah, and let's be honest, the whole series kind of changes because of him. Because I got some very strong Deadpool vibes, like the first few episodes.
Oh, insanely. Yeah, he's a much more anime logic Deadpool. I mean, Deadpool's pretty anime logic as it is, but they definitely animified him with shooting blood out and propelling himself around. Andy is so goddamn good that way. Yeah,
Andy is what I believe if they made Deadpool into an anime, that's essentially what he'd be doing. So that was my initial vibes of the show. I figured that was almost exactly what drew you into the show to begin with.
Yeah.
Because I know how much of a Marvel person you are.
Yeah, it was definitely a perk for sure.
This show was a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun. I'll be honest, I don't know how I feel towards the end of the season, because as you said in your synopsis, it went from like just trying to kill Andy to now we're trying to kill God, and I'm like, man, this took a lot of turns.
Yeah, that whole goal changed almost immediately too.
Yep.
Like, we still stuck with it to a small degree because we joined the Union and we could still try to kill Andy.
Yep.
But then we end up learning in Core 2 that even if the world blows up, he's still not going to die.
Yeah, so I'm curious if he can die, if they find a way for him to die. Obviously, he has Fuko, so their attachment to each other, is he going to want to die at the end of the series? Because it might take her to get him to die, but she's not going to want to live without him. So
yeah, there's definitely a couple routes this can take. I came up with at least two. Like, I'm definitely leaning towards one idea about how the entire series is going to end.
Okay.
And we can probably save that for the end.
Sure.
That way we're not jumping too far out of the way. Let's just stay with season 1 material.
Yeah.
Is there any characters that you are most interested in that we don't know too much about?
I am very interested in Phil, who is Unfeel, because they talk about how he's essentially just a bunch of artifacts.
Yep.
What artifacts? As far as the good guys, quote unquote, that's who I'm most interested in, because I want to know what artifacts are keeping him together. Can he die? Is he literally just an artifact? Or is he a person that has a bunch of artifacts that he's using to enhance himself?
Right. Yeah, because I was thinking the same exact thing. And it got to the point where, like, what's really going to be the difference between him and Rip? Because Rip is also basically half artifact.
Yep.
Between his legs and, well, I guess that's basically it.
Yeah.
But still, Phil, he's definitely interesting. We got one quick action moment out of him, and it was literally just basically to capture Apocalypse.
Yep. And that was it. I'm very curious what more we're going to get from him.
Yeah, I like a backstory. He doesn't talk at all, and then he's just kept in the background.
Yes. As far as, like, our bad guys, do you have one that you're most interested in?
Bad guys, it's 100% Billy. Okay. It's too hard not to choose him because
Fair.
We thought we knew him, and then we 100% don't know him. What was very interesting in the manga, in beginning of almost every chapter, they showed like a quick snapshot of all the characters, and then they show the characters with their unabilities.
Okay.
When we learned of his betrayal, Tatiana was explaining that he was unbelievable, and she was the only one that was told. And then we're like, okay, well, he can shoot in random directions, and that his target will always be hit, even if it's not supposed to hit through physics.
Which makes sense for a blind guy.
Right.
Supposedly blind guy.
But then the manga shows that after we learned of the betrayal and he started copying abilities, that got completely scratched away and he became uncertified. That's what the word they used. So his ability became unknown all over again.
Okay.
So he's definitely got my interest. It got me thinking a lot. What exactly is his ability? And does his unbelievable power still be part of him? Because if he's copying abilities, who is he taking that unbelievable, the bullet, or at least the ricochet deal from? Can he like stockpile powers, or is it only like a vicinity of the powers that he can use? How many powers can he stockpile? Because he had the opportunity to use everybody at the round table and he only chose 3. So he's got a lot of questions about who Billy and his ability is. And I think that they foreshadowed exactly what his ability is because they said it twice. Billy was saying that things are unfair, and that made me think that his ability is going to be called unfair.
Okay. Yeah, that would make complete sense.
Yeah, Billy's just such an enigma right now. Do you have any more questions about him or things that
I have a lot of questions about him, but so was he blind the whole time?
That too.
Was he able to make himself no longer blind? As you said, where did he get this unbelievable ability from?
I'm wondering if when he died from Top's kick, did that activate something?
Yeah, how did this new potential ability come to be? Did he always have this and he was just waiting to essentially betray his comrades? But we know that's not necessarily true, so there's so many questions as far as Billy is concerned.
Right. They made the comment that they have the same goal, to kill God.
Yeah.
But they just have a difference in style of how to do it. Like Billy just wants to say screw it and just get the job done. And then Jewis just wants to do everything the right way, no matter how long it takes. Like she's not okay with it, but she's willing to restart her life again with Ark in order to do things the right way by saving the world more than destroying the world.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
But back to our hero side.
Oh, I wanted to get into the villain I'm very interested in.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, what villain are you interested in?
Rip, because we kind of know his ability, which is that he essentially he's unrepair, but what's the limits of his powers? Because I feel we don't really know how it works.
Right, not too much. I can share one more thing that the manga shared.
Okay.
So that little bunny girl that we saw at the end of the season, the Agu girl, there was a quick little there was a post-chapter kind of scene where that Agu bunny girl wanted to be just like Latla, and she wanted the same hairstyle, and then Rip was cutting her hair, and then Rip made a comment if I cut your hair like this, it'll never grow back again. And then she's like, that's okay, I want to be just like Latla. So not only does cutting skin and stuff like that work, it also works on hair. So literally anything he cuts will never grow or change.
Yep. The bunny girl is Bax, by the way. I
wonder if it really is Bax, because she made a comment stop calling me Bax. So Rip calls her Bax. I don't think we got an official name out of her. I don't remember. She wasn't important enough for me to make a note on, but I just remembered that one scene. Yeah, it's, according to the fandom wiki, it's Bax, also known as Bunny. Okay, yeah, it's fair enough. That's how we know her anyway.
Yep. So I'm very interested in Rip because everybody kind of feels like they're following under him. And Billy's just kind of the one that is the elder, so they're just kind of I guess we're going to go with your plan. But you can see that they're internally fighting against each other. Right.
Yeah, Rip made a comment that everybody has unification of working together, even though everybody has their own specific goal. Everyone has different things.
Yep.
He was saying that Rip wants Ark, Latla wants, I think, artifacts. Billy wants to kill God. And then, I can't remember the hooded guy, his name was I think the hooded guy actually wanted the artifacts.
Okay.
But anyway, the point was that everybody has a whole different goal, but they're working together in order for everybody to get their goal. But the whole thing was Billy and the Union share the same goal, but yeah, they just want to do it differently, so it's weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what the next scene in season 2 is going to be, is Juiz and Billy talking it out.
So do you think the two groups are going to come together to defeat God?
Good question. At first, it kind of seems like it's going to be a no, but I think ultimately God is the biggest obstacle. So I think they're going to need all the help they can get, all the artifacts, all the Umas. They need to use everything in their disposal that they can in order to defeat God. Because it's kind of funny. Like, God is giving everybody all the ammo and every opportunity in order to defeat himself, but he needs it to be done in one very super specific way.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, ultimately they just got to use everything that they can and working together, kind of like how we saw Rip and Andy working together to defeat Autumn.
Yep.
Like, they had to put their differences aside and work towards the goal that they all truly want.
Yes, and that's why I think that the reason why they were never able to defeat God prior to is because instead of trying to work together to do it, they would work as separate teams, and that whole cliche of you're stronger together than separate, that's what it's going to be. That it's going to take all of their abilities to be able to finally beat God.
Yeah, I agree.
Which also brings into another question. What's going to happen if they defeat God? Is the world just going to keep going?
Yeah, that's where my first end of finale idea came into play.
Okay.
Was they'll defeat God, all the abilities will just vanish, disappear, and everybody will just be normal again. And then Andy and Fuko can live happily ever after.
Which would explain how Andy can finally die without having to die before Fuko.
Mm-hmm. So that's how I see the actual finale, which could also bring into question, like, will Andy be like very cautious with his life because he's lived worry-free, literally, well, not literally, because we ended up learning that it took him quite a while to learn his ability that he couldn't die, but still he's going to get to the point where he can't die, so he's going to be very cautious with his life, and then Fuko can finally just touch people. So I wonder if they would tap into that a little bit, like some post,
not just
story.
Each other, but yes.
Yeah, that's what I see. What do you think about post God?
I think post God, man, I want to say something other than what you said, but that's besides the like nitty gritty details. I think all the abilities are going to go away as soon as God dies. I think the artifacts are going to like attach themselves to the person. Like if they're an artifact that keeps the person alive. And then once the person dies, the artifact basically bricks out. Mm-hmm. And then other things will just kind of not be anything, or they're going to be something different than what they are as an artifact. I just feel that everything's just kind of slowly work its way to being what we would consider normal. Right.
I was just about to say, we can play into like us in real life today. God could have died yesterday from the Union.
Yep.
And then us normies would have not known the difference. And then everybody is just a normie at this point.
Yeah, I'd be interested if like some of the abilities reverted or stayed the same. So the universal language.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because that changed and the whole world changed with it. So everybody speaks English.
Yep.
Who wasn't an ability.
Yep.
Yeah, so would English still rule the world, or will we go back to separate languages?
I feel like separate languages might happen, but things like universe and what we know as normal would stay.
Oh, so you think they'd be nitpicky on something?
Yeah, I feel like they'd be nitpicky on stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. To a small degree. But if we wanted to stick with the idea of things just stop and go away, that I think English might just stick around, and that just is because it's been kind of a thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, no more changes.
Yeah, I'd like that. Just the very last change is going to be the abilities go away.
Which makes me question, how would they even confront God? Does God only show up during Ragnarok? So all 100 penalties have to happen in order for their opportunity to go against God?
Yes.
Because that's what I think too. Because I was going to question, like, well, what if they fought God after like penalty 1, and then like everything in life was like essentially perfect and nothing went bad, and then after God is defeated after penalty 1, the rest of existence is essentially perfect.
Yep.
But no, I think it makes more sense that it has to be like the final boss.
Yeah, he comes with Ragnarok, and which we already have an end date for, which I think is it December or January? I don't remember exactly.
No, they were explaining the potential date for Ragnarok to come if they were to fail. So they have until the end of December to fight the 4 seasons. And if they fail that, then that's the 100th penalty.
Okay.
And then they'll have until the last day of April or the last day of March, which is going to be like essentially April 1st, which will be the last day. If they were to fail that one too, or they'll just have 3 months until Ragnarok shows up. It's not 100% sure, but this is essentially going to be the potential 100th penalty. So they have to do this, otherwise Ragnarok's coming.
Okay, that makes sense. One question I had for you is Ano Un, the individual, the negator.
Akira,
yes. Does he age?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, even though he's...
Because the mom got from like a middle, like 30s to super old. Mm-hmm. And he went from a kid to like a young adult. And I'm like, the math isn't mathing here.
Yeah, and in addition to that, if you paid close enough attention to when Andy was like fist bumping Akira like invisibly.
Yes.
If you look closely at Akira, he was very, very aged.
Well, I knew that part because he essentially gave up 150 years.
Oh, I think the 150 years was only applied to his double. But then again, because that's a very good question to ask, because we get no explanation about Akira himself also disappearing, but he is very aged there.
Yep.
But Ano Un is the one who aged dramatically then vanished.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So I would like to imagine that only Ano Un was affected and Akira is, safe and alone again, just old and alone.
So I'm wondering if maybe he didn't age due to his double, and then once his double aged, he essentially turned old.
Could have, because we never got to see Akira the entire time. We saw his backstory, and then we saw him at the fist bump, and then we don't know exactly how many years has passed by, however long it takes 101 volumes to come out.
Yeah. Well, depending on Fuko, it takes a day, so...
Yeah, I like that call out that she did about like apologizing to all the mangaka out there for, I'm sorry that I was able to do this entire one in one day, when obviously it takes much, much longer to do that.
Yeah, that fourth wall break was funny.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get back to the beginning of the season. This series was very entertaining. I know I've said this already, but it's so reminiscent of just Deadpool and all the shenanigans that Deadpool gets into, and I just couldn't get my mind really away from him being Deadpool.
Yeah, it's exactly him, just prettier looking. Deadpool's all burnt to a crisp.
Yep.
Yeah, very much so. It's just him with additional powers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't imagine Marvel ever going that route where he can just blast blood out of him like a Kamehameha or something.
Yeah, and the whole walking around naked thing probably isn't in the cards either.
Not too much. It's something that Deadpool would do, but I don't think that it wouldn't be like his calling card. It's not who he is.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's realistic. Like, yeah, when your lower half gets chopped off, your clothes don't survive. Mm-hmm. And Fuko, she was a fun character to begin with. You got to feel bad for her.
Oh, definitely. Especially getting a little bit of backstory about like when she was with her grandfather, when she was younger, and that mother comes and says every time something bad happens, she's around, so she's pranking everybody.
Yeah.
You just feel bad for her. So she turns herself into a shut-in.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the unluck that she gives. So it's a plane, it's an asteroid. I guess that's something else. What do you take of the explanation of her unluck and basically where the unluck is coming from?
Oh, I bought it full thing.
Okay.
The idea of using what's around, and if it's not around, it'll attract it from outside sources.
Yep.
I was thinking that the entire time as well. So when Andy was trying to figure it out himself and he also came to that conclusion, I was like, perfect.
Yep. Let me store the unluck. Just, all right, I'm going to have your boobs against my back the whole time.
Yeah, they were pretty raunchy in the first core of this season with how often he was getting into her body.
So I'm curious, was all that stuff uncensored I'm assuming his junk was censored, but
yeah,
manga can be hit and miss on if they want to show nipples or not.
Yeah. There was no nudity whatsoever.
Okay.
When it came to playing with Fuko's boobs or whatever, that was all 100% spot on that the anime did.
Okay.
Andy's junk being censored the way it was, how big his dick appears and how it flopped in the wind and all that fun stuff. It was all a perfect rectangular scribble out, so they definitely kept that one true.
That'd be funny. Okay, nice.
Yeah, and then it was almost an annoying to a T at sometimes in the manga, because at the end of many chapters there's like Fuko in a mustache, and she'd be like, "Ooh, did you know on this page and this panel you can see Andy's censored spot because his dick basically pops out in every episode." And it may have been for like a quick second because Clothy can cover himself back up, but they made quick announcements to be like, "Oh, here it is. Go back and double check."
Hey, here's his dick again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you could pick one of the abilities, and you could pick Undead, it's any of them, which of the negator abilities would you want besides Billy? Because Billy's a cheat code.
I was about to say Billy. If I could straight up just take any abilities and stockpile them, it would be Billy, not knowing exactly how his works. But yeah, straight up, number one, I would pick Andy. Okay. I don't want to die. I want to live forever.
Okay.
He's essentially ageless as well, so that's big perk too.
Yeah.
I just think that's awesome. I have way too many goals in life, and they keep packing on top of each other. That's exactly what Andy did. He's lived for 200 years. He's just learning more and more. So yeah, first blush, Andy. What are you thinking?
Okay. For abilities, I'd probably do like Unbreakable, which is the Yamaoka Ishin.
Ishin, yeah.
I think that one would probably be the coolest to have because you could just make anything you wanted and you wouldn't have to worry about it breaking. You could make houses and not have to worry about anything. Plus, you're not super OP that you're just going to live forever.
Yeah.
I don't need to live forever. I'm good. Good there. So just all of those, I feel like it would be that would be my favorite one as far as me personally, which one I could have.
Ishin's definitely interesting. We don't get to see a whole lot out of him other than we know he's unbreakable.
Yep. And that's
I don't know if the anime made a comment on it, but that giant black pillar that they sent through Uma Burn in the escape of Billy's betrayal.
Okay.
They made a comment that Ishin spent an entire year building that.
I don't think so. Okay. I don't think they said anything about that.
Oh, okay. So that's another tidbit of useless information, but it was just, I found that interesting. Like, you can't just make something. It actually took him a lot of time.
Yep.
And how does he transfer Unbreakable into objects and stuff like that?
I think he has to put his stamp or signature into it,
mm-hmm.
and that's how he does it. Maybe.
Do you think that's his actual face, or do you think he's wearing some kind of typical Japanese mask?
I think he's wearing some mask.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
The one who stopped Andy, who stopped Victor, not Andy, but Victor.
Gina?
Yes. What was her ability again?
She was Unchange.
Unchange. Okay.
Which, we can talk about Gina, but we also have to remember that one of the rewards for one of these quests was the location of Unchange. So it's very fun to realize that her ability transferred to someone else, and now we get to meet a new Unchange. Yes,
and they do talk about that with Unmove, because Rip talks about how, I'll just kill you and we'll go find the next Unmove.
Mm-hmm.
So I did know that was a thing. I'm very curious, which also leads into another question. Apparently, I'm just scatterbrained today. How many abilities are there?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a finite number? Is it, hey, here's 30 and that's it? Obviously, we know it passes to another person, but can any more be made? Or are any more made, and how are they made?
Right. When I was first watching this, I'm sure you might have picked up on it too. For every Uma that was out there, there was also an unversion to it. At least that's what it seemed like, especially when it came to Burn. There was Uma Burn, and then there was Negator Unburn. So it made me think that for every Uma, there's an Un. Definitely, that hasn't been clarified. That we have no true answer about that yet, so we can wait and see.
Well, we're not 100. That's not going to 100% be a one-for-one thing, because obviously we have Autumn and Sickness and like Galaxy. Some of the
to make an for all the. I mean, we can be surprised. Like, what the hell would an Galaxy even do?
Just black holes.
Maybe. I mean, we have crazy enough things like untruth.
Fair.
If you were to tell me give a power to untruth, I mean, obviously it would be something false because it's an opposite. But like, you'd think like if you told me, it would be like Lala. I would call her untruth because everything that she predicts is always the opposite.
Yes.
So I would call her untruth, not Shen.
But
I don't know. They make sense both ways, but still.
Yeah, I get that.
Let's rewind a second because you're getting back to Gina and Unchange.
Yes, I would be very interested because she's Unchanged, which let me kind of give a breakdown of the ability, external targeting ability to prevent the state of an object from being changed.
Mm-hmm. And what we saw in the anime was she was essentially unchanging the air around her to create a force field and creating the air around her to also make hands.
And also herself.
One more tidbit that the manga added, when she took off her shoes to join the fight, and it's not just a foot fetish thing for everybody out there.
Sure.
She was essentially in her bare feet because she can use her abilities better when it's touching her skin. So like,
okay,
that's just what they said.
So somebody wanted to draw feet and give a reason for it. Got it.
Could have been, yeah.
That's okay. That's we don't judge. Don't judge. Maybe slightly. Okay, it'd be interesting. I would not want that ability though. That sounds terrible.
It sounds fine. I mean, you can create a force field around yourself. That's cool. Mm-hmm. And you can essentially almost be telekinetic in a way. Yes. Where like you can like capture something in the distance and create a force field around that, and you can move that around. Like, I guess that would be cool in a way too.
You could bend spoons without touching them.
So you can definitely have its uses. It's definitely not going to be one that I would choose first. Yeah, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. One thing, you were reading up on some information before we started this podcast. You want to let everybody know what that was? Yeah,
so I was curious on if season 2 is going to be a thing, and yes, indeed it will be, depending on when you listen to this episode. It has been confirmed that the winter of 2025, season 2 will be released, and it will start with a 1-hour special.
Ooh, very nice. Okay.
So yeah, it's coming soon enough.
And how many chapters are left, or how many chapters total are there right now? Is it ongoing or is it done? Quick Google search.
Well, as of like 2 weeks ago, as of today's recording date, mid-February of 2025, the series is complete with 239 chapters.
Very nice. Okay.
So even if we want to round up to like 50 chapters a season, we got a shit ton of information to look forward to. Or if we dumbed it down to 50 chapters, because season 1 covered 53 chapters. And even if we were to ballpark it around there, we're still looking at 4, maybe 5 seasons worth of information here.
Yeah, I'd say probably about 4.
Yeah, they could probably compile a few things together.
Yep.
I don't know. This is shonen as well, so depending on how cool the battle scenes are, they can definitely elaborate things. But again, this was also a 24-episode season, so it could be like a Jujutsu Kaisen thing where every season is a long 2-core season.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, it's exciting enough to know that there's that much information and it is complete, so you can find out.
So yeah, if they say nope, we're over, well, you can read the ending and
just jump to the final chapter, just ruin literally everything.
Yeah, it's all good. Hey, but some people need some closure.
This is definitely going to be a manga I will continue. I am in the middle of Dragon Ball Super right now.
Okay, I'm
very far in there. I haven't compared how much longer I have, but after I catch up with Super and after I stay caught up with Kaiju number 8, I think I will jump back into Undead, Unluck and continuing the series.
Nice, very nice. Now let's get back into some of our usual talk. Did you have a favorite moment?
My favorite moment was the introduction of Victor.
Okay, that does not color me. Does not shock me in the slightest.
Victor was I'm surprised I didn't say this earlier, but Victor was one of my absolute favorite characters. Probably favorite anime characters of all time too, because he's just so insanely overpowered.
Yep.
When he was able to like split himself off and have like 5 different versions of himself fighting at the same time, insanely overpowered.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I guess that's what happens when you're as old as space, I guess.
yeah, almost older. Yeah, they made a comment that he's thousands of years old. So he's definitely had plenty of time to experiment and increase himself.
Yeah, that absolutely.
Is there a moment that you found favorable?
Man, my favorite moment, there's so much. The season, there had so many things that happened in this season. I guess, no, I did really like Victor. I liked, you know what? I liked, probably my favorite thing was when Undead and Unluck attempt to join Union and basically everybody attacks them at once.
Right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. His Deadpool activity going on where he just comes in through the sky and just immediately tries to kill everybody.
Yep. Yeah, I thought it was so much fun. It was 100% on par. And it was like pretty much the last moment. That was the turning point between going from Deadpool to, all right, now we have to kill God.
Right. Yeah, that's a very good point to pull.
And I very much enjoyed the first few episodes. Not that I didn't enjoy the whole show, but I enjoyed the first part of the show more than I did the last part of the show.
Yeah, it makes sense. Everything's unclear about everything, and we just get to see all the bullshit fun that they're having.
Yep.
Just chaos.
Which obviously would make for a terrible show if the entire thing was just chaos and boobs and blurred out penises. But it was so much fun.
Yeah, I agree.
The question that I have is, so now that Andy has basically learned to better use his abilities, do you think there's going to be another instance when Victor comes back?
Well, after basically getting Victor's approval, it kind of seems like it'll be slightly unlikely. Of course, it's got to happen again. You can't imagine that we're going to go another 200 chapters without seeing him. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's going to be to the same degree of him trying to take over. I mean, there could be a point where, like, Victor on the inside's like, Andy, you're fucking up. You don't know what you're doing. Let me take over so I can complete what we're trying to do. So
Yu Yu Hakusho and the Mazaku?
Yeah. So I guess I can see that where like they might trade off. Or, yeah, or he could even be like Jujutsu Kaisen kind of deal with Itadori and him trying to switch bodies.
Yep.
So I can see it going that route as well.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as him trying to take absolute control and take over, period, no longer.
Okay.
You have any thoughts?
I don't think we're going to see Victor in a future present or in a future tense moment. I think anything that we see with Victor is going to be in the past.
Okay. So you think future stuff is done, all we're going to learn is history?
Yep.
Okay. It's very possible. I'll be a little sad to see if we don't get another Andy moment or Victor moment.
Okay, yeah.
But I can see both happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess let's go into some more future talk since we're already there. As far as season 2, you kind of gave us a good hint, which is we're going to be fighting Summer.
Yeah, Andy is going to be going towards Summer, and I think it's kind of obvious how they ended the series with Juiz and Billy meeting in the snow. I think they're going to be around winter.
Yep.
And then that just leaves spring to be somewhere in the future. Yep. So I think they're going to be hitting the ground running as far as the next two Umas to fight.
Okay. Do you think it's not going to be this round, but how many more rounds do you think they can go without a punishment?
That's a good question too, because now that we know that there's almost 240 chapters, I think there's no way that they're going to fail this penalty. I think they're absolutely going to complete it. They'll get all the rewards. Yep. And then with that being said, they'll probably complete the next one as well.
Because it's every 90 days?
Yeah, every 3 months that they have to complete before the penalty, yeah.
Well, then I know they talk about when a new set of challenges happens, but I don't remember how long in between. So you get your 90 days to complete it, but then after completion...
It's right away.
Oh, it is right away?
Yeah,
so it's every 90 days. It's okay.
Yeah, so they have 90 days to gather all the necessary seats and open the book to find out what it even is, because the ticking time clock has already started.
But no, there's no way, because there was a period of time between their punishment and the next set of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't happen immediately.
Are you referring to when Fuko passed out after Spoil and then like a week passed by, or what? Not even a week, it was a couple days or so?
No, so they had their punishment and then, or did they have the punishment and then no. Yeah. Okay. Because they have the punishment and then Billy betrays them and was like, all right, now we might as well just fail. Or no, we might as well just nuke everybody and destroy the world, essentially.
Yeah, the punishment and the next set of quests were all at the same time.
Yeah. It just felt like it had been a period of time, but Fuko passing out happened prior to the timeline or the end date for the challenge. Okay. Yep.
Jumping back quite a while to where I was trying to mention one Union member that I'm most interested in.
Okay.
Is definitely Nico. Aside from Ishin, we don't know much about him either. But and Phil, blah. But Nico was the one I was especially interested in because he's the one that's taken in all this data. He made comments like, I don't need your thanks, I just want your data. So he's very data driven, and he's very interesting in that because he's just the smart guy who just wants to get things done, and he's got all this awesome technology, helps everybody with everything, helped Tatiana with that giant ass mech ball that she's riding in. So Nico's very interesting.
Yes.
We know him, but we don't know him.
Yes.
So they danced around that quite a bit. We're like, we saw plenty of him, but we don't know exactly what's going on with him.
Yes, absolutely. We just know that he's the one that essentially, he's like the doctor person because he had the machine that helped save the people. So I get you. He's very interesting. I want to know more about him as well.
And in addition to that, Top is my next one that I'm interested in, Unstoppable.
Okay.
Because Billy made a comment that like stopping came at like a cost or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but it was because like Billy stopped and like his leg was like broken or something, and then he needed Undead's power to repair his leg. So like, how is Top being able to do all this so perfectly? Maybe he's just constantly moving at all times and he's never stopped, and that's why he's okay. Like even when he's sitting still, is he like the Flash where he slows down time or like stops time? I don't know. I want his power explained a little bit further.
Absolutely. I think you're right in the fact that when he's stopped, he's okay. But if he starts, what is that? The first law of Isaac Newton's first law?
Oh, something in motion remains in motion. Unless there's another force acting upon it.
Yeah, that one. There you go. The smart one over there. So I think that's what happens is essentially he is that. So he remains in motion until something happens to him and then he can stop.
Yeah.
And then, but the remains in motion when he attempts to use his ability. Because as we know, some of the negators can choose to use their ability or choose not to. Mm-hmm. So obviously if he's walking, he's not trying to use his ability. He's just trying to move forward.
Right. Yeah. So I wonder if it'll come to a point where like we jump back into Marvel with the Hulk.
Yep.
And like in the movie series, they were saying that like, how have you been able to control your anger? Is like, I'm just constantly always angry. I've just learned to suppress it. So is Top always moving?
Yep.
And then even if he appears to be sleeping, like, is he transferring that power to like his toes, or like, is his soul allowed to like let his heart do the unmoving or the unstoppable motion, or just some kind of bullshit answer like that?
Or is it literally just my heart's beating, so I'm still moving?
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I mentioned the soul part because we learned that Andy was able to split his fingers into like 4 separate souls in order to take out Victor.
Yep. And basically transfer his Unluck to those locations. Yep.
There was a moment in the manga that said that they explain all the abilities.
Okay.
And they were explaining it step by step. And like 1, you have to assume that there's a soul. 2, you have to assume that souls can transfer into specific body parts. So it was kind of funny. Like you just have to believe it and then it'll happen.
I mean, sure. Yeah. You believe it can happen. That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. Which then kind of brings up the very next scene in that part of the series where we got to learn that Fuko is also evolving, getting stronger.
Yep.
Or her unluck is getting more specialized.
Yep. And she can basically, yeah, as you were saying, specialized. I am curious if her evolution is going to be unluck, and then she's going to be the driving factor for killing God.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely what they're making it sound like.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, Victor was saying, like, oh, Jules was right. We need to think outside the box. And she's doing it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, another part of manga information, in case anybody's curious, during that fight, when the finger souls were shooting around and a random plane just so happened to run into Victor, that was a Union plane.
Yep.
Which, like, they made a quick little caption saying that that's a Union plane. The anime never made that clear. And then
the symbols on the tail.
Oh, there was a symbol? Okay, yep. I didn't look that hard, I guess. But, okay, well, if you picked up on that and the manga explained it point blank,
yep,
then that explains why the unluck factor of a random capture tool being dropped just so happened to work is because the Union plane was there and it was inside the Union plane.
Yes, and that makes sense where it's, hey, we need a force of a force to be able to give you the thing that you need. And in her next evolution is going to be, all right, your unluck is exactly what stops you or something along those lines.
Just compound these unlucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm running a blank on this outside of manga because I know they explained it.
Okay.
But let's talk about Unseen real quick.
Unseen, yes.
So, do you remember how his ability works?
No.
Okay, so they explained that his ability only works when he closes both of his eyes. And everything that he considers himself, his clothes included, becomes unseen. So that's why he was able to be a mass murderer and a mass robber. That's how he got around.
Okay.
And then that always made me question, well, if he's got to close both of his eyes, how is he able to get away with all this stuff? Do you remember him having a third eye in the anime?
No.
No? Okay. Because, okay, that might be another difference in the manga then, because they explained that Rip put a third eye in Unseen, which is why he was able to be as badass as he could have been, or at least used to be.
What, did they put it in his stomach or something?
No, just where your typical third eye is in your forehead. It's probably an artifact. I don't think they explained that it was an artifact, but they just said that Rip put a third eye in him. So he's able to close both of his normal eyes, and then he can just walk around with his third eye open, still being invisible.
Yeah, that's not cheating at all. Yeah. Sure. No, I do not remember any of that, so...
Yeah, because I don't remember that in the anime either, but the manga explained that part.
Okay, interesting. Nothing more to add to that, though.
No, he is what he was.
Yeah. Before we kind of end the Undead Unluck segment of the podcast, all in all, this was fun, really enjoyable, easy watch.
Mm-hmm.
I personally would probably give it like a 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was just not something that I can continuously rewatch, but it wasn't bad. I'm glad it was a show that I wanted to watch that I just kind of kept putting off, and I'm happy that we were able to cover it for the podcast because it was fun. It was a lot of fun, just not thrilled about where the concept of the series went.
Yeah, it definitely changed, which is understandable to why you might think otherwise.
Yep. But what about you? What do you think? Or how would you kind of rank this show?
I absolutely love this show.
Yep.
Easy for me to like shows to begin with, but I fell in love with this one immediately.
Okay.
I would rate this amongst the highest things. This is probably in my top 10 right now.
Nice. Okay.
I would not be as bold to say that this is like a 9.5.
Okay.
And that's mainly because the Uma Autumn fight was kind of subpar.
Okay, yep.
So because I felt like they just rushed the actual fight of that one. Kind of, it was just whatever.
Yeah.
So I'll be kind of because of that fight alone, like I'll knock it down to a 9, which is still super good.
Yeah. Yeah. The Uma Autumn was literally just a catalyst to be able to go back in time and relive their past and evolve. Like, it had really nothing to do with anything.
Yeah. The whole book thing was kind of just a quirky idea to throw into an anime. Like, it was fun.
Yep.
But then when they threw Andy and Victor into the same scene to fight each other, I think they were just looking for excuses to find a way to put them together.
Okay.
So that was whatever. And then like they're breaking different walls to make Victor know that Fuko was inside this book and Victor knew it was a book, even though they're in memories. It was a lot of stuff that they're just anime bullshitting their way through.
Yep.
Like I said, they're looking for excuses. Didn't care for that entirely. I like the idea of going back in time and going into Andy's memories.
Yep.
But then when Victor came in and fucked it up, like I was like, okay, now they're forcing it.
Yep.
And then, like I said, the autumn fight, too quick. It wasn't very imaginative to a degree. Like, of course it was awesome, but literally all it was in the end was Andy breaking open the shell, Rip cutting to be unrepaired, and then Latla driving through and grabbing the core.
Yeah.
There's nothing fantastical about it. It was just them working together.
Yeah. Okay. Very good show. This is, I don't want to say it's much more your type of show than my type of show, but it 100% is your type of humor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This one definitely checked a whole lot of boxes for me.
Yeah. It was good. It was very good. I guess I will be hopeful that more things are explained and everything makes a lot more sense later on in the series.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's another thing that I liked about this was things eventually do get explained.
Yeah.
Like, especially like stars not being in the sky. And then we find out like a couple episodes later that stars are in the sky. And just these things that make you go like, okay.
Yes, absolutely. Before we go, I am not doing well on Pokemon. So hopefully I can redeem myself and get something right at least.
Yeah. Can't promise you that this will be the easiest one.
You said that last time, and I think I got 2 right. So,
well, we'll see. Yeah, so let's jump into some Pokemon quiz. We're going to jump into Generation 2 stuff.
Okay.
Mix it up a little bit. Question 1. What type is Heracross?
Heracross. Okay. So it is the beetle-looking thing. So I'm going to say I'm going to go with one type. It's bug.
Bug?
Yep.
Very close. It's bug and fighting.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I even went back and checked out Bulbapedia because I thought that in Gen 2 he was strictly bug.
Yep.
But even Gen 2 considered him a fighting type as well.
Okay.
So I didn't find out that he was a fighting type until like just a couple of years ago. Like when Pokemon Go came out and Heracross got released, that blew my mind. Like, he's a fighting type? What?
Apparently always. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that one. Question number 2. 3 new evolutionary items were introduced in Gen 2.
Oh, shit.
Can you name them?
Oh, God. 3 evolutionary items. We're going to act like there was not a really long pause. I am evolutionary items. So we'll have, let's go with leaf stone. Is that what you're talking about? Like those kind of things? Like leaf stone?
To a degree, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to stop you right there. Leaf stone was in Gen 1.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll save you there.
That's fine. But I have no idea. I'm drawing a complete blank on evolutionary items.
Oh, no, not even a single one?
No.
All right. The first one that might come to everybody's mind is the metal coat.
Yep. Okay.
For Scyther and Onyx.
Yep.
And then there's the King's Rock.
Yep.
For Slowpoke and the Slowking.
Yep.
And then there's the Dragon Scale for Seadra and the Sea King.
Didn't like any of those Pokemon. So yes.
Oh, no. I made that question. I'm like, shit, I gave you a really hard one. Because that one is, thinking back to that is kind of hard. So I did feel a little guilty for putting that one in there.
That's fine. I don't. I'm just terrible at this. It's okay.
Okay, well, hopefully the listeners knew some of them. And then question number 3, the evolution question.
No.
What level does Houndour evolve?
Oh, fuck. Let's go 28.
Okay, not bad. It's
wrong.
It's 24.
Okay.
It's 24. Which always pissed me off, Houndour in general, about Gen 2.
Yep.
Is because you didn't get him until the second half of the game.
Yep.
And even though he's a Gen 2 Pokemon, you couldn't get him until near the end.
Yep.
And then you're fighting all these Team Rockets that have Houndours. Like, I fucking want him. Where is he? You can't get him till fucking late.
It's like, you need 5 badges to get this Pokemon. It's like, no.
No, you needed like 10 or 12 in order to get him.
Gross.
Yeah, and you can only catch them at night, which was even more annoying because gold, silver, and crystal introduced night and day.
I mean, you could cheat and just change your time.
Yeah, and that was definitely what a lot of people would do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right.
24. And as late in the game as that was, 24, kind of might throw you off too, but...
You could catch him at 20, but hey, 24 is when he evolves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So, there's my questions. Unfortunately, you failed all three again.
Another offer. That's no good. That's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Hopefully, our listeners were able to get at least one. The evolution questions are kind of like a usual fail. I know that's a very hard question that I keep giving you, but
that's all good. I will say if anybody got one of the evolutionary items, we'll call that a point.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's gonna conclude our Pokemon quiz today, and it will also conclude our topic of conversation. Thank you everybody for listening to us this far. Please leave us a rating or a review on whatever platform you are listening to us on. If you are interested in more anime news, please follow The Anime Show on Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, we'll see you guys.